Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I know it's been a while, but I'm so happy to be here. Thank God for life. Thank God for a new year. Thank God for the things that are to come, my expectations, what I did last year, and things we're hopeful for this year. So not to bore you and just to dive in quickly, there's something I've been wanting to discuss, and it has to do with trust. So what are your views about trust? What do you think about trust? I have transitioned from a state in my life into another stage in my life, and it has got me questioning the role trust plays in our relationships. The people we have around us, the people we engage with, either for work, for business, for friendship, our families, our loved ones. So, where does trust play in our relationships in general, right? Regardless of what setting. So, I came from an era of not trusting too much, and then I moved into an era of trusting too much. So like in a scale, there's 1 to 10 and then there's 5. I From my perspective, I feel like trust is on 5. Trusting too much is on 10. Not trusting is on 1 within that scale. So from a place in my life I came from trusting too less, and then I moved to trusting too much. So how do we navigate this thing? Do we trust people in our relationships? When we trust people, do we put some measures in place to avoid being hurt? So when I came from a place of trusting too less, it came from an angle of me not wanting to be hurt, not to be caught by surprise, to expect what people are going to do. You know, right? What I mean, like, just to generally be on guard. So I was always on guard, right? I might not physically be on guard, but because I don't trust too much, I don't have any expectations, I don't have any disappointment. So I put those measures in place to prevent myself from being hurt or being harmed. And some things I do is, oh, maybe I don't let my guard down. Maybe I put contracts in places when it's official. Even for non-official settings, I put contracts in places. I do documentation a lot. Even if it's in friendship and relationship, okay, you said this, we noted that, oh, you said this, because I don't want any kind of drama. I don't want any kind of issues. But I found out that this like can cause edge in friendships, in relationships, in networking, and in just building relationships generally. So I started to trust people, and guess who got burnt? Me. So I don't know if it's that I I passed that scale of trust into trusting too much, because in my own opinion, me, right, I was trying to start giving benefit of doubt, trusting, right? And then that made me not put certain measures I'm supposed to put in certain things in place. And it comes from sentiment, really. Sometimes people are really good blackmailers. It can come from familiarity. It might even come from people you don't know. Like I've so I'll say I'll give different just vague instances without delving. So it can come from maybe a business contract, right? Like this person is supposed to send you an official contract. You don't get that thing signed. Now I've had these experiences with not just one vendor, and I don't want to put any I don't I want to say it's Nigerian factor, because I've dealt with other Nigerians, which is why I still feel like there should be an element of trust. I've dealt with other Nigerians who I've done business with, gone into engagement contracts with, and it was seamless. But there are these people who like are like, why are we being official? Why are we signing contracts? Why are we doing this? It can be for anything. It can be for something as simple as maybe cleaning. It can be photography. It can be a major project. It can be anything. You ask them to send you a contract, they don't want to send you a contract. They start getting worried, saying that you're being on guard, you're being too suspicious, you're being this, you're being that. And I found that there are some people, you have friends, you have relationship with them, they don't have a problem signing a contract. Like it's business. Let's have our friendship, but let's just have our business. And then that's what I'm talking about, sentiments. Like when sentiment starts getting into it, I feel like that's when you should be ready. But then I was all trusting that, like, okay, maybe not, maybe I'm being too uptight. Like let me be trusting, right? And they come from the angle of, let's start this relationship on with trust. That's where they come from. Let's start this relationship with trust. Let's give benefit of doubt. Let's not be on guard. So what I found out is, you protecting yourself does not mean you're not trustful. That's what I found out. So sometimes convictions. There's something is actually called your, I don't know why this word is keeping me now. Premonition. It's not exactly premonition. Premonition sounds too deep. But your suspicion on something most times is the best measure for you. Now, when I was thinking about this topic, I went to look at what trust is. Trust actually means to think somebody is sincere and honest, that they will not harm you. So if your gut is telling you you need to be worried and you need to be worried, there's no reason to trust that person. And for me, I feel like trust is built over time, right? You can't just see somebody once and you already trust that person, right? Like that's what I feel. But I feel like because I came from an angle of not trusting at all and like not giving any element of wanting to be caught off guard, because that is the opposite of trust. Trust means you think this person is sincere, this person is honest, and then you don't think this person can harm you. So I don't want to be harmed. So I guard myself. I put measures in place because I do not know if this person is sincere or honest. So it doesn't mean I know this person is insincere and is dishonest. It just means I do not know that this person is honest. So I feel like, okay, whether we trust somebody or we don't trust somebody, there are certain measures we should put in place to protect ourselves. We should know when to define relationships. We should know when to define. We should know how we define our relationship. Yes. So if we're on a playing level, we know that this is playing level. If we're on a business level, we know this is business. So that's why I really appreciate like when people are able to play both roles. They know like, okay, we're friends here, but not everybody gets it. So how do you navigate these things? How do you navigate this sphere of somebody who actually is honestly playful? Like there are some people that will say, oh, let's not sign a contract, and you won't be burnt. I've had those experiences. I have a couple of friends like that, right? They don't really see the need for, but then guess what, they never mess up, right? I mean, when people don't mess up, it doesn't entirely mean like they deliver things to you when it's supposed to be, or they tell you it's is they tell you that like, oh, it's gonna be this way and it's that way, but it means they deliver. And when they can't deliver, they communicate it. Now, this is not just for business and relationship. It also means in our relationships, like it is not just for business and contract. It's also in other things, like in a relationship. Like for example, for women especially, the opposite sex, right? When they tell you you're too uptight. And I say this in terms of navigating boundaries. Because like for women, especially women who are go-getters, they go like, you're too uptight, you are too official, you are too this. Guess what? You're not too official. You're not too official, you're not being too uptight. You should learn to set boundaries. Not defining boundaries, putting sentiments into places are things that allow something that should be a professional engagement go haywire. And that's when people start saying, oh, this person doesn't trust, this person trustless, this person is always on guard. But it's not. It's just the right thing. It's just processes, right? So I came from not trusting too much to trusting too much. And then for me, it was a learning experience, saying that, okay, there are certain things that it's not even about trust. It's like, this is how things should be. This is how things should be. And so I came from an angle of, oh, I don't want to trust this person. I will put my guard up. I don't think trusting too less is good. I don't think trusting too much is good. I feel like in certain things, trust, when people bring up trust, it has no role in it. Like, oh, you don't trust, you trust too less, you trust too much. This, of course, when people, I feel like if you're being told you trust too much, then maybe you actually do trust too much, in that certain people are maybe taking advantage of certain situations. Like it could be your gender, it could be your position, it could be your status, it could be anything, right? So I just feel like trust is built over time, because as I said, trust means you believe this person will not harm you. So what makes you believe this person would not harm you is because you found that they are credible. You know that they are trustworthy. So trust is not just something, oh, you see somebody and you're like, oh, I trust this person because the person is saying that, oh, you're too uptight, you want to be official, you want to do this, you want to do that. You're this. We're supposed to be a community. We're supposed to be there for ourselves. We should like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna. I'm like, I protect myself. I protect this. I whatever the excuses are. I think these are just sentiments, right? And we should just know that things should go how they should go. If things start if people start putting something like K-leg, right? Like if things are not going as smoothly, then we need to be wary. So should we trust too much? I'm still asking that question. Do we trust less? Like, what's the role of trust in all this? For me, I think trust is built over time. And trust is not just something you give someone by just having one engagement with them, one encounter with them. And I don't think that trust plays a role in you not doing things the way they are supposed to be. So this is something I'm learning because I realized, as I said earlier, and I've been saying so many times, I went from not trusting too much to trusting too much. But now I'm learning that there's still a place for trust because there are people who have shown themselves to be credible, right? The fact that there are some people that show themselves not to be credible doesn't mean we should just rule out everybody. And that's where not trusting too much is, because we tend to focus on the negative, we don't focus on the positive. We see only the negative in things. That's just how the human brain is wired, and we have to like maybe sometimes train ourselves. I know some people are optimistic, so they might have more of the good side, but generally we as humans, we tend to focus more on the negative. So the fact that, oh, we've had a couple of negative experiences doesn't mean that there are no good ones, and which is why I don't think that not trusting too much should be an option. But then we shouldn't trust too much either, because trust is the act of knowing and believing that someone will not harm you. And how do you know that? Over time, through engagement, through encounter. This is just my own thoughts. I would like to know your own thoughts. Thank you and have a good day.